So the lab this week is based on the stack data structure. We have seen a few data structures so far, and one of them is stack. We have looked at the arrays and linked list, right? So we can implement a stack either using a linked list or an array, right? You might have seen, or you see the examples of stack in your everyday lives. For example, when you put the books on the shelves, the very first book that you put on the shelf is the one that will come out last. So suppose you are stacking the books, you will put the first book, then goes the second one, then the head one, right, on top of each other. And when you want to remove the books, right, the one that you will remove is the one that is right on top. Okay. The other example is you might have seen something like this, the containers on the ship, right? So this is example of a stack. So unless you remove the container that is on top, you cannot access the ones that are at the bottom, right? So it has to go from the top, and when you are adding, then you will again put on the top, right? So that is example of a stack, and there are many others that you might have seen. So the stack works in the similar way. So by now you might have got an idea of the operations that we can perform on the stack, right? So one operation is push, right? So suppose our stack looks something like this. So there are two operations. One is the push. So when you push, when you call the push function, then along with that, you will have to pass a data, right? You will see that there is a parameter here that is x. So suppose you want to add number 5 to the stack. So you will call the push function and pass in the value 5. Okay, so what this will do is add 5 to the stack, and that goes right at the bottom. Now if I push another value, let's say 3, so that 3 will go on top of this 5. The other operation is the pop. So when you call the pop function on the stack, then this is going to return and remove the item that is right on top. So in this case, if I call pop at this point, then this is going to remove this 3 from the stack and return to the calling function. So these are the two basic operations of a stack, and there are others that you can implement for checking if the stack is empty or not. Now you will see that this structure is vertical, and there are these blocks in here. If I just move it sideways and make it like this, then this is going to look like an array. So behind the scenes in this lab, we are still using an array to implement the stack data structure, but the way that we implement it describes the behavior of the stack. Okay. You can also use a linked list to implement a stack. The main thing here is whichever data structure that you are using, whether the array or the linked list, it is these operations that we have to care about. So if you only restrict the access to the very first item with this pop function, and if you push a data onto the stack and that goes right on top, then we are basically trying to mimic the behavior of a stack, right? But behind the scenes, we are still using a array. Okay. So in the lab, there are some questions given. It says consider the definition of the stack data structure. This stack has a pointer called sptr to point to an array, which will be used to store the stack data, and a partial implementation of the stack class is provided. And based on this information, we have to answer the questions 1, 2, and 3. The code is given at the bottom, so we'll have a look at that in a while. So we have to complete some implementation of the constructor and some other functions. So before that, I'll copy the code in my IDE. I'll open up Visual Studio. I'll create a new project, C++, next. I'll call this lab 12 and I'll save it in my lab 12 folder. Create. Right, so I'll right click on the source files and add a new item, a C++ file, and I'll call this main.cpp. Add. So I'll copy all of this code in my IDE. Okay, so in here we have a stack class and it has three private attributes. One is the size, then we have the SPTR, or we can say stack pointer, and we have this top variable. Now in here we have the size attribute. So the purpose of this size is to create or keep track of the maximum number of elements that the stack can store, right? So in here, in my example, the size of my stack is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So at max I can store 10 elements in my stack. Then we have SPTR and we have a top. So SPTR is basically just a pointer to this array. In the class we will be using a array to implement the stack, right? So that a variable SPTR is just a pointer to our stack or array. And then we have a top. So this basically will keep track of the item that is right at the top of the array. In this case, the top will be 3, right? Because the topmost item is 3. If I add one more, let's say 1, then now top will become 1. And then we have the constructor and some member functions. Now in the lab handout, it says complete the implementation of the stack constructor stack, which takes a parameter called s, and the constructor must initialize stack size to s and use it to create an array of size s. Pointer SPTR should point to this array, right? So as I mentioned earlier, since there is no data in the stack, right? So when we initially create the stack will be empty, right? There will be no data in our stack. So a empty stack. Then in that case, a top should be initialized to an appropriate value. Now we know that as I mentioned earlier, so when I have some data in our stack, then in that case, the top variable that we have in our class, right, this will contain the value that is right at the top of the stack. In this case 1. If there are 3 and 5, then the value of top will be 3, right? If there is only 5, then the value of top will be 5. Now what if there are no items in the stack? So what should the value of top be? Right, so that is what it is saying over here. So what should be the appropriate value, whether we should use -1, 0, or any other number that you can think of. Now, so that really depends on our implementation, right? There is no set rule for whether using -1 or 0. It depends on your application and how you are implementing that. So for our case, what I'll assume is we will only be storing let's say only the positive numbers. So in that case, I can say my top will initially be -1, right? So if there are no items in our stack, then we can make top equal to -1, right? But then again, this depends on you, how you want this to be. Okay, so I'll say that if there are no items in my stack, then the value of top will be -1, right? So that is one way of doing it. And the other way could be you can use this top to keep track of the index, right? So if I have, let's say again, these values 1, 3, and maybe 5. So in this case, this we can assume this as index 0, this as index 1, this as index 2, and so on. But in a stack there are no indexes. We are just logically creating these indexes to help us get the very first item in the stack, that is the one that is on top. So I can say if I want to get the topmost value, then I can access that using the stack, and I can go at index number 2. So that is going to give us the value 1, right? So you can either directly keep the value of the first item in the top variable, or you can use that as a index. So if I use that as a index, then the value of top will be 2, because the topmost item is at index number 2. So which one should we use? Again, it's up to us and the implementation of our stack. So I'll use this top as an index. Okay, and why I'm using that is because when the stack becomes empty, right, then I can just simply make top equal to -1. Why -1? Because when the stack is empty, then there is no data in our stack. So in that case, I can just say top is equal to -1. So when I see that top is -1, then I will know that the stack is empty. So that is our walkthrough or the structure of how we are going to implement our stack. Now let us have a look at the constructor. So in here, it says that the constructor must initialize the size variable. So constructor right now is empty. So what we have to do is initialize the size of the stack with this s parameter, right, as it is mentioned over here, right? Initialize stack size to s. So we can say size is equal to s, and then using that size, we have to create an array of this particular value. So we can say sptr, right, that is our pointer to the array. Sptr is equal to new int of size s or size, doesn't matter because both are same. So when a stack object is created, right, this is going to initialize the size attribute of this stack class, and also create an array of size, whatever the size was. So for this example, if I create the stack and pass 10, then something like this will be created, right? An array of size 10 in this case. So that is done. And we can also initialize the top to -1 as we have discussed over here, right? So I'll say top is equal to -1. Why -1? Because currently there are no elements in our stack. So we have initialized all these three variables: size, sptr, and top. Then it says complete the isEmpty function, and this function should return true if the stack does not contain any data, and false otherwise. And there is some hint given. It says what will be the value of top if stack does not contain any data, right? So something we have just discussed. So in here we have to implement the isEmpty function. So I'll go to this function over here. Now this function is returning a boolean object. That means it has to return either true or false. So it will return true if the stack is empty, and false if stack is not empty. That means there is at least one data in the stack. Now how do we know if the stack is empty? So in here we will be using this top variable, right? The hint is given. We will be using the top variable to figure out whether the stack is empty or not. So we know that if the value of top is -1, that means the stack is empty. So we can return true. Otherwise, we return false. So if the top is -1, then the stack is empty, right? So we return true. Otherwise, if the value of top is something else, right, 0, 1, 2 or something else, some other number, then that means there is some data in this stack, so we return false. So that was the isEmpty function. Then we have the isFull function. So this function should return true if all the array cells are full and false otherwise. And again, the hint is given: use the relationship between the attributes top and size to determine if the stack is full. So in here we have to use the top variable and the size variable to determine whether the stack is full or not. Now looking at this diagram, so if there is one data in the stack, let's say 2, then the value of top will be 0 because the topmost data is at index number 0. If I add one more data, 5, now the value of top becomes 1. If I add one more, then top becomes 2. So looking at this relationship between this top and the size, right? Size is the maximum capacity of the array. Can you figure out how can we determine whether the stack is full or not using this top and size? So what will be the value of top when the stack becomes full? That means there is data all the way up till the top of the stack. When the stack is full, right, the value of top will become 9. Right, so if I just write the indexes over here, you should be able to see that 6, 7, 8 and 9. So at this point, when my top becomes 9, that means there is some data in the stack all the way up till the top. Right, I'll just put in some random data. Right, you will see that there are 10 items in the stack, and at this point I cannot push any more data in the stack because the stack is full. Right, the size of the stack was 10 and we have 10 data in the stack, and at this point the value of top is 9, which is 1 less than size. So I can say that if my value of top is equal to size minus 1, then I can say that the stack is full. If top is equal to size minus 1, all right, top is 9, size minus 1 will become 9 as well. So if top is equal to size minus 1, then this stack is full. So I will return true, and otherwise we return false. Then it says complete the implementation of the getTop function, and this function should return the value of the top attribute. So when I call the getTop method, which is over here, so this should return the topmost item in our stack. Now in this example, if I call the getTop function, that function should return as the value 6, right, because that is the topmost item in the stack. So I can say return sptr at index top. Right, sptr is the name of the array, and we want to return the value that is at index top. Right now the value of top is 9, so if I access the array at index 9, that will give us the value 6. But we cannot do this all the time, because what if the stack is empty? Right, so if the stack is empty, then we cannot say return the value at index -1, because when the stack becomes empty, the value of top will be -1. So can I get the value from the array at index -1? Right, we cannot, right? So before retaining the value, we will first have to check if the stack is empty. Right, if the stack is not empty, then we can retain the value at the top. So in here we have two ways of checking if the stack is empty. One is to just look at the top value, right, or we can use this isEmpty function. So I can say if the stack is not empty, right, then we return the value. Otherwise we retain something else. Now what should we retain if the stack is empty? Right, we have to retain a integer value, so that means we have to retain something to the calling function. So what should I retain if the stack is empty? Maybe I can retain a -99 or -1 or 0, right? It really depends on your use case and your implementation. Okay, so let's go with the -1. So if the stack is empty, then we are going to retain -1, right? Otherwise we will retain the data at the top of the stack. So that is the getTop function. So that was part B. Then part C says consider the following code in the main function that demonstrates the use of the stack class from B and show the output of this program. Now what we are doing here is creating a stack of size 20, and then we have some variables x and y, and we are pushing the values and popping the values from the stack, and then we are printing the values while the stack is not empty. So we'll first try to do a hand trace of this program to see how that actually works, and then we'll run the code and compare our result. Now there are two functions that we have not discussed yet, that is the push and the pop, which are the main operations for this lab. So one is the push function and the other one is the pop. So for the push function, you will pass the a value that you want to push to the stack. So when I call the push function and pass a value, that value will go into the stack at the top. But I cannot push a value to the stack if the stack is already full, right? I can only push if the stack is not full, right? So if the stack is not full, then we put the value into our array. And what is happening over here is in our array, so we go to the array at index plus plus top. So this is same as saying something like this, top plus plus, and then sptr at index top. So what is happening here is, now we know that if there are some items in our stack, so I'll remove some of these. Now what will be the value of the top variable? It will be 5, right? Because the topmost data is at index number 5. So let's put this as 5. Now if I want to add a value to this stack, then where should that value go? It will go at value or index number 6, right? So I can say sptr at index top is equal to the new value. But if I do sptr at top, then that is going to override the value at the index 5. So before putting the data, I will first have to increment top, so that top points to or goes to the next index, and then at that index we are going to insert our value. So that is what is happening over here. So we increment top to go to the next empty location, and then at that location we put our value, right? And since this function is retaining a boolean, then we retain true after inserting to indicate that we were able to successfully add the data to the stack or push. And if the stack is full, then in that case we cannot add the data, so we retain false to indicate that the push operation was not successful. Then we have the pop function. So what this function will do is pop the data, that means remove the topmost element from the stack. And once again, we can only remove the data if the stack is not empty, or if there is some value in the stack. So we first check if the stack is not empty, that means there is some data in the stack. Then we assign the value from the top of the stack to the data. Now in here we are passing this data by reference, That means we can just directly assign the topmost value to this data parameter, and that will be reflected in the calling function or the main function in our case. Now looking at this diagram, if I want to pop from the stack, then which value will I get? The top at the moment is pointing to the index 5. That means when I do the pop operation, I should get the value 6. So I can say we will retain the value from the stack or the array at index top, right? SPTR at top, SPTR at 5 will give us 6, right? So this 6 should be gone. Then what should happen to the top value? It should decrement and become 4, because now the topmost data is at index number 4. So that is what is happening over here. You can either do top minus minus over here, or if you want to avoid the confusion, then you can just write top and then decrement top afterwards, and then return true to indicate that we were able to get the data, and return false to indicate that we could not get the data from the stack because the stack was empty. So these are the two main operations of the stack, right? The push and the pop. So in the main function over here, we are creating a stack of size 20. So going back to our code. Now just to make things a bit simple, I'll make this 10. Right, so we can use this same diagram for our hand raise. I'll remove all of this. I'll empty the stack, because when the stack is created, it will be empty. All right. So in here we have the x and y. X is 4, y is 0, and we are saying stack dot push 7. So in this stack we are pushing the value 7. All right, so we are pushing the value 7 onto the stack, so that 7 will come over here at the bottom. Then we are pushing the value x. X is 4, so 4 goes over here. Then we are pushing x plus 5, so x is 4 and 4 plus 5 is 9, so we have 9. Then we are assigning the top value of this stack to the variable y. So if I call the getTop function, then that is going to give us the topmost value. So in our case it is 9. So x is 4, y initially was 0, and now y becomes 9 because we are updating 9 with the value of this getTop function. All right. Then we are doing stack.pop. So pop is going to remove the topmost item. Now the difference between the getTop function and the pop function is that the getTop function will only give us the topmost item. It is not going to remove the item, right? Whereas the pop function will remove the item. Okay. So if I do pop x, so what this will do is it will get the topmost item, which is 9, and assign that to x, right? So x will become 9, and this value 9 is removed from the stack. Then we are doing push x plus y. So x is 9 and y is 9, so 9 plus 9 is 18. Then we are doing push y minus 2. So y is 2, y minus 2 will be 7, so we push 7 on the stack. Then we are doing push 3, so 3 goes on the stack. Then we are saying stack dot getTop and assign that to x. So getTop will return 3, and that 3 will be assigned to x, so x becomes 3. So after this, all this is done, then this is the state of our stack. Then we are trying to print the value of x and y. So the value of x is 3 and y is 9. So this should give us 3 and 9. Then we have a while loop, and what we are doing here in the while loop is we are trying to get the topmost item and then pop until the stack becomes empty. So we are just basically trying to empty all the items from the stack and print it. So we are saying that while the stack is not empty, then what do? We get the topmost item, which is 7. Then we pop the item and assign it to x. So when I do pop, right, that 7 will be removed and assigned to x. So x becomes 7. Then we can check if the stack is empty. So still it is not empty. Then we get the top value and print it. Top is 18. We print 18. And then we get the topmost item, right? We pop it and assign it to x. So x becomes now 18. Then again, stack is not empty. So we get the top item, which is 4. We print it. And then we pop the item and assign that to x. So x becomes 4. Then again, stack is still not empty. Then we get the top item, which is 7. We print it. And then we pop it. So pop 7 and assign that to x. So x becomes 7. Then we check, is the stack now empty? So it is now empty, so we cannot do this anymore. We will exit out of the while loop and go over here and print the value of x and y. So the value of x is 7 and y is 9. So that is how the stack basically works. Now let's run this code. Looks like there are some errors in the code. So let's see what are the errors. Identifier cout is not defined. Okay, so we will need to include the headers. Okay, run the code. All right, so initially the value of x was 3 and y was 9. All right, we have overridden the values. But if you look at the data from the while loop, right, so you will see that we have 7, 18, 4 and 7, right? We have 7, 18, 4 and 7. And at the end, when we print x and y, we get 7 and 9. And we get 7 and 9. So that was part C. So in part D, it says assume the stack object is declared as in part C. All right. Rewrite the main function so that the user is allowed to enter a set of inputs, numbers, one by one and store in the stack. The input entry must terminate if the user enters -99 or when there is no more space left in the stack. That is when the stack array is full. So we have to write the code to display the contents of the stack. So now instead of pushing the values over here in the code, right, we have to write a function that will allow the user to enter the values that we are going to push onto the stack. All right, so I'll just comment out this code. So I'll write a function that will allow the user to enter the values which we are going to store in the stack. All right, so I can declare a temporary variable called x, and I can use a do while loop. All right, we will ask the user to enter the values. I can either use a do while loop or a while loop, doesn't really matter. Let's go with while loop. So while some condition, then we do something. So in here we can write if or while the stack is not empty, so dot is empty. So we can say while the stack is not empty, sorry, while the stack is not full, right? So while the stack is not full, then we keep on asking the user to enter the data, and then we keep on pushing the data onto the stack. So in here I can say enter a value to push to the stack, right? So the user will enter a value that we are going to store or read into our X variable, and then we are going to push the data onto the stack. So we can say stack dot push, and we will pass the value that the user has entered. And then once this is done, then we can print the data. So we can say cout printing the contents of the stack. All right, and once again using a while loop. So in here we can say while the stack is not empty, right? So until the stack becomes empty, we get the data from the stack and we print it. So I can say stack dot pop, and we know that this function takes a parameter where the data will be stored after popping. So when the data is popped, it will be stored in X, and we can print that X onto the screen. And once the stack is empty, then we can say over here that the stack is empty. Stack is empty. Let's run this code and see if it works. Enter a value to push to the stack. So let's enter 5 3 4 6 8 7 1 0 5, or let's say 4 2. So at this point, after we have entered the 10 values 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, after all the 10 values are stored, then the stack becomes full, right? Because the size of the stack is 10. So when the stack is full, then this while loop will exit, and we go over here and say we are printing the contents of the stack, right? And over here you will see that the contents will be printed in reverse. So the last item that we have entered on the stack was 2. That means this value will go right at the top, right? The value right at the bottom was 5, then on top of 5 was 3, then on top of 3 was 4 6, and right at the very top was the value 2, right? So when we pop the data from the stack, the value that is right at the top will be popped first. That is why you will see that the data that we are getting is in reverse order, right? So we have 2 4 0 1, we have 2 4 0 1, right? So which principle does this stack use? It uses the first in last out, right? So whichever value came in first will be popped out last, or we can say last in first out, right? So the last value in over here was 2, right? And it was first out. Okay, and at the end it is saying that the stack is empty. Now in here, what if the size of the stack is 100, right? So we cannot be entering all the 100 values. This will take us quite some time. So if the user wants to exit or terminate earlier, then we can say enter a value to push to the stack, or -99 to exit. So if the user enters -99, then we will terminate. So we can check if the user has entered -99, then instead of pushing, we break out. All right, so now let's check. So let's enter 6, 3, 5, and let's say I have done entering the data. So I'll enter negative 99, and this will exit, and we get 5, 3, 6 in reverse order, right? So we have 5, 3, and 6. So that was all for this video. Thank you for watching.